Millions of women trusted it. They called it simple, convenient, reliable. Just one shot every 3 months and you were protected. But now, thousands of those women are asking a terrifying question. Did that shot give me a brain tumor? We're talking about Depo-Provera, one of the most widely used injectable contraceptives in the world. And the lawsuit building against its manufacturer, Pfizer, is one of the largest pharmaceutical cases of 2025. In this video, we'll break down exactly what happened, what the science says, who is suing, what they're claiming, and what you need to know if you or someone you love use this drug. Stay with us. Let's start with the basics. Depo-Provera is a brand name for medroxyprogesterone acetate, or MPA for short. It's a synthetic form of progesterone, a naturally occurring female hormone. Depo-Provera is given as an injection once every 3 months. It works by preventing ovulation, thickening cervical mucus, and thinning the uterine lining. It was first approved by the US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, back in 1992. It was actually the very first female birth control option to be advertised on television in the United States. Since then, it has been used by tens of millions of women around the world. It's popular in the US, the UK, across Europe, in parts of Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Its appeal? You don't have to remember a daily pill. You get one injection and you're covered for 3 months. For many women, especially those in demanding careers, raising families, or managing complex schedules, this convenience was a genuine lifesaver. But convenience, it turns out, may have come at a cost that no one warned them about. So how did this story break? It started with a landmark study published in March 2024. The journal was the British Medical Journal, one of the most respected peer-reviewed medical publications in the world. French researchers dug into data from France's National Health Data System. Their study analyzed over 108,000 women, 18,000 who had undergone surgery for a specific type of brain tumor. That tumor is called a meningioma. A meningioma is a tumor that forms in the meninges, the protective membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord. Most meningiomas are not cancerous, but benign does not mean harmless. These tumors press against the brain. They cause headaches, seizures, vision problems, cognitive impairment, memory loss. In the worst cases, they can be fatal. The researchers discovered a striking pattern. Women who used Depo-Provera for more than 1 year were over 5 times more likely to develop a meningioma than women who didn't use it. 5.6 times more likely, to be precise. Why? The theory comes down to hormones. Meningiomas are known to have receptors for progesterone, meaning they respond to this hormone. Depo-Provera floods the body with a synthetic version of progesterone for extended periods. Researchers believe this prolonged hormonal exposure may be feeding tumor growth. And this wasn't the first hint. Back in 2017, earlier research had already shown that when women stopped taking progestin medications like Depo-Provera, their meningiomas actually shrank. That's a significant clue linking the drug directly to tumor behavior. A follow-up study in 2025 went even further. It examined over 61 million female patient records. It found that women who used Depo-Provera faced roughly twice the risk of a meningioma diagnosis compared to women on no hormonal birth control at all. The science is building, and it's building fast. Here's where this story goes from troubling to damning. In Canada and across the European Union, Depo-Provera's packaging already included a warning about meningioma risk. Regulators in those countries looked at the available evidence and decided women deserved to know. But in the United States, no warning, not for years. The US warning label for Depo-Provera did not mention brain tumor risk until December 2025, a full year and a half after the bombshell BMJ study was published. That's a year and a half during which American women were injecting this drug without being told what women in other countries had already been warned about. And Pfizer knew. In July 2024, months before any label change, Pfizer quietly updated its US prescribing guidelines for doctors to include brain tumor risk. But the official warning label that patients see, that stayed silent. Pfizer's defense is interesting. They claim they actually submitted a formal request to the FDA in 2024 to add a stronger meningioma warning to the label, and they claim the FDA rejected it. Their argument is now that because the FDA blocked the warning, they cannot be held liable under state failure to warn laws, a legal concept called federal preemption. Plaintiffs' attorneys fire back hard. They say Pfizer sat on compelling evidence for years, possibly decades, before making any request at all. They call Pfizer's 2024 submission too little, too late, and strategically weak. The preemption battle is now one of the central legal fights in this entire case. The first Depo-Provera brain tumor lawsuit was filed in October 2024. The plaintiff was Christina Schmidt, who filed in the Northern District of California. She had used Depo-Provera between 2005 and 2021. She later developed a meningioma. Her complaint laid out 9 allegations against Pfizer. More cases followed quickly. Then more. Then many more. By November 2024, plaintiffs' lawyers filed a motion to consolidate the growing wave of lawsuits into a single court. This is called a multi-district litigation, or MDL. An MDL pools similar federal cases under one judge to streamline pretrial proceedings, share discovery, and set up test trials, called bellwether trials, that help predict how the broader litigation will go. In January 2025, the Judicial Panel on Multi-District Litigation held a hearing. Both Pfizer and plaintiffs agreed an MDL made sense. Plaintiffs wanted California, partly because California law allows claims against Pfizer even for users of generic versions of the drug. Pfizer preferred New York. In February 2025, the panel made its decision. The MDL would be housed in the Northern District of Florida, under Judge M. Casey Rogers. The case numbers have exploded since then. March 2025, 78 active cases. April 2025, 130 cases. June 2025, 348 cases, a 20% jump in a single month. October 2025, over 1,200 cases. December 2025, nearly 1,860 cases, with the FDA's new warning label acting like a starting gun. By February 2026, over 2,000 cases and climbing. The defendants include Pfizer and several generic manufacturers, including Greenstone LLC, Prasco Laboratories, and Viatris, among others. Some generic makers have already been dismissed from the case for lack of direct involvement. Among the most heartbreaking cases filed is a wrongful death lawsuit. The family of a Texas woman named Anita Peterson filed suit in July 2025. Anita had used Depo-Provera for years. She died suddenly in October 2024, at the age of 47. An autopsy revealed she died from bleeding caused by an undiagnosed meningioma. She left behind a family that now says she was never warned. Now, if you're watching this and you've used Depo-Provera, you may be wondering, does this apply to me? Based on the current criteria being evaluated in this litigation, you may qualify if you meet all of the following. 1. You use Depo-Provera, Depo sub-Q Provera 104, or an authorized generic version for at least 12 consecutive months. 2. You were later diagnosed with a meningioma, a brain or spinal tumor. 3. You underwent surgery or radiation to treat that tumor, or these treatments are scheduled for the future. Now, a note for our international viewers. This MDL is currently a US federal, but the drug was used globally, and attorneys in various countries are monitoring this litigation closely. If you are outside the US, you should consult a local attorney who handles pharmaceutical litigation in your country. In countries like the UK, Canada, Australia, and across the EU, legal avenues may exist for similar claims. One important detail: there are legal time limits called statutes of limitations. These are deadlines by which you must file your claim. They vary by state in the US and by country internationally. If you think you qualify, do not wait. If successful, plaintiffs in these lawsuits can seek several types of compensation. Medical expenses, including the cost of brain surgery, radiation therapy, ongoing monitoring, and any future treatments. Lost wages for time missed from work during treatment and recovery. And pain and suffering for the physical, emotional, and psychological toll of a brain tumor diagnosis. Loss of quality of life. Many women report lasting memory issues, cognitive changes, and neurological symptoms even after surgery. And in cases like Anita Peterson's, families can pursue wrongful death damages. Exact settlement amounts are not yet established. This MDL is still in its early stages. But given the scale of the litigation, the severity of the injuries, and Pfizer's size as a defendant, legal analysts expect significant payouts if the cases proceed. As of early 2026, the MDL is in active discovery. That means both sides are gathering evidence, reviewing medical records, and building their cases. The single most important legal question right now is federal preemption. If Pfizer wins that argument, that the FDA's rejection of their warning request shields them from state lawsuits, it could gut the entire case. If plaintiffs win, and their September 2025 response to Pfizer's motion was described as strong, the litigation will move toward bellwether trials. Those test trials are expected to begin being scheduled in the coming months. Their outcomes will almost certainly drive settlement negotiations for the thousands of cases behind them. The FDA's December 2025 warning label update was a significant moment. It is essentially the agency admitting what plaintiffs have argued all along: there is a real risk, and women were not told. That label update may actually strengthen plaintiffs' cases going forward. This is a story about trust. Women around the world trusted their doctors. They trusted pharmaceutical companies. They trusted that a drug approved and sold for decades had been thoroughly tested and honestly labeled. For many of them, that trust was broken. What we know now is this: the science linking long-term Depo-Provera use to meningioma brain tumors is real, peer-reviewed, and growing. Women in the US were not warned about risks that women in Canada and Europe already knew. And thousands of those women have now been diagnosed with brain tumors that required surgery, radiation, or worse. The legal fight is just beginning. But for the women and families at the center of it, their fight has already been going on for years. If this video helped you understand what is happening, please share it with anyone who may have used Depo-Provera. Knowledge is the first step toward getting answers. This is a developing story. We will continue covering it as the litigation moves forward. Subscribe so you don't miss any updates. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Take care of yourself, and take care of each other.